2, check. Check 2. I went to the store while the intro was playing. I got an early start, but I didn't have my energy drink, or I got groceries earlier today. Oh shit, I gotta change the sub goal. I went and got groceries earlier today, but I was still missing a few key little items. So I went to the store. While the intro was playing. Made it back just in time, just as the intro was finishing. So I caught the beginning. Morning Rob. I guess if the community's responding to the morning show, maybe I probably should start the show every day at around this time. Maybe I will. I don't know. Who knows? I make a lot of promises sometimes, and I don't always follow through on them. One promise, though, that I have made for years, that I did follow through on. I did follow through on a promise I've been saying for literally years now, that I would put the music that I have created for this show, like the theme that we're listening to now and all the interlude little tracks that I put on sometimes. I've been saying for years now that I was going to put those online so people could listen to them if they wanted to, and I always put it off. And then last night I did it. I did the thing, finally. I did the thing. I uploaded the original score to this program, to this Bandcamp link. So if you are one of the people, the handful of people that is interested in that and wanted that, there you go. Now there's a place where you can listen to all the different tracks that I play on this stream. So there you go. Enjoy. So the reason, though, for the early start today, though, is that my son has a Christmas... Well, it's not Christmas anymore, obviously, because it's March, but has like a winter concert thing. I don't know why it's now, but there's a concert thing at my son's school. That's why I got it. I'm in my non-slob outfit right now, because I'm going to leave a little bit earlier so I can go to that and hear him sing a few songs and stuff like that. Is anyone there? I'm not seeing any. No one. I'm not seeing any chats. Chat, are you still there? Chat, hello. Is anyone there? Make sure to button down before you go. I don't know. I feel like this is pretty reasonable. I think that's pretty reasonable. Anyway, so I was busy this morning. I went and got some groceries. I was editing the conversation that I had with VJ Prashad yesterday. I was editing that into like a podcast. So that's why I didn't really have any like lunch type thing prepared. So that's why I went to the store when the intro was playing just now, and I got the classic dip-in-er lunch. So is anyone interested in seeing my dip-in-er lunch that I just picked up from the dip-in-er? We got some interest. What did you get? I'll show you what I got. This is my lunch today. And as you know, folks, normally I like to have a nice lunch. I often enjoy it. With you all. So, today was not one of those days. But I got this. Some of you might like this. A big cookie. The Big Daddy. The Big Daddy cookie. Le boss des gros biscuits. Big Daddy. I love it when you call me Big Daddy, as the classic rap song goes. I got some meat too. I got some like meat sticks. And I got, obviously, an energy drink. I got a blue Monster Ultra today. I haven't been able to find the Rain cherry limeade flavor at the dip in her lately. Hopefully they can get some more of those in soon. And I'll probably have an apple as well. Just so it's not fully like, poison. Just a small amount of poison. Anyway, not to worry, Crackety Kraken, if you missed the VJ stream. Not to worry. You can obviously see the VOD. I'll throw it on YouTube. I recorded a little intro to turn that into an episode of 49th Parahell today, so that's going to be coming out soon. So there's going to be plenty of ways to listen to the conversation. It was really great. Lioness, does this get your seal of approval? An official healthcare consultant? It is an oat cookie. It's made of oats. Is that any... I mean, obviously there's a large amount of sugar in there. Ooh, yeah, a lot. Damn. It's made of oats, though. Oats are healthy. Right? I think so. Oats sprinkled on a sugar disc. There we go. It went very well, Crackety Kraken, especially the ending part. The ending part especially, I think, was the highlight for me. This is what this show is about. It's about asking the hard-hitting questions. It's about having the tough conversations. Rob doesn't know Olaf Schultz, but VJ doesn't know about gooning, so it's a tie. Excuse me. Excuse me.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
I think I knew Olaf Schultz, but I was also getting it confused with the WEF guy because we were just talking about him. Some other kraut. Dude Control, thanks for the raid. How's it going, Dude Control? I'm glad you like that, Dr. Awesome. Pretty absurd. Pretty absurd. Thank you, Dude Control. That's a pretty good description of what we do on here. VJ always learns some terminally online shit when he comes on stream. It's been fun to be able to educate him on some of this stuff. He needs to know about this. He needs to know about this shit. You know? He's got to know what the youth are talking about now. Rob knows all the new lingo, exactly. Even that I'm starting to lose track of. You're missing on the True Health cookie the ice cream sandwiches. Well, ice cream, that has dairy. Dairy, it has calcium. That's good for you. So don't mind me while I just sit here and eat my healthy Depener lunch here. I'm a big fan of like jerky. On a car trip, like a road trip. Big jerky guy. Just don't eat too much vitamin A. What's going to happen to me if I do? And where do you even find vitamin A? Which prominent leftist public figure are we going to ask about gooning next? I'm thinking Rashid Khalidi. Maybe Jeremy Corbyn. I think asking Jeremy Corbyn about gooning could be pretty good. I'm sure Corbyn would get the Arsenal connection and would give a big enthusiastic thumbs up for the Gooners. Corbyn has the backing of grime rappers here in the UK. Yeah, I've heard that. That's because he's the absolute boy. Mr. Chomsky, sir, what's your position on short stack goblins? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Vitamin A's in leafy greens. I always knew I was eating way too many of these leafy greens. So Mistress of Insanity says more jerky and cookie and energy drink based lunges. Less plants, vegetables, green vegetables kind of thing. That's my main takeaway. I saw that, Dakadoon. I guess pivoting to be this like bullshit drama streamer didn't pay off to the level that maybe it was anticipated it would. Who knew? Now let's just all never talk about that person again. He's just the coolest. I gotta get Corbyn on. I think that's one of my goals for this year. He's on the list. Corbin's going on the list. I'm going to get him to come on this show. No, Turf Island doesn't deserve Jeremy. You had your chance. Okay, UK? You had your chance. You blew it. You blew it. No, it's gone now. You get the red Tories or the blue Tories now. That's all you get. He speaks with tiny YouTube channels here. What if you catch him on the right day? Well, I would like to think that I'm not tiny. You know, I'm not tiny. I'm not massive, not a massive social media superstar or anything. I know what you mean, though, Solar Defrag. I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. So let me just check. Let me just check what time I have to go today. So I've got to be there at 2:35. Okay, so I'm going to go till about 2 today. I'm going to go till about 2. That's why I wanted to get started early. Because that's how much I care about ensuring that you, the community, get your contractually obligated 3 hours of TRRS. This is how much I care about this community, folks. This is how much I care about delivering to you the content that you need, that you require. This is what I'm about. Oh. And if you appreciate that, and if you enjoy this program, even though all I've been doing for the last 20 minutes or so is eating jerky and a giant Big Daddy cookie and drinking an energy drink, even though that's all I've been doing for the last 20 minutes, still, if you enjoy this for whatever reason, don't ask me to explain why you do, but if you do, please do support the program by subscribing, gifting subs or bits or tips or whatever it is. As you know, I do... Excuse me, taking off my shoes here. Didn't even get a chance to do that. As you know, the only way I'm able to do this show, folks, is if people subscribe. If I make the little number at the bottom of the screen go up every single day. So if you enjoy this program, please do subscribe, and I appreciate it a whole lot. Content is content. It's true. I'm here, aren't I? Now I got some energy. We must make the number go up. Would love to see you do an episode of Positive Leftist News. You would be a great host. I'm not sure if I'm familiar with Positive Leftist News, both as a platform and as a general concept. But that would be great. I'm already doing a lot of stuff. Ooh, it's getting hot in here. It's warming up today. Whoa. Okay. Now I'm ready to go. Okay. Lunch. I got some energy. I got my blood sugar up here. Now I'm ready to talk about jacking off or whatever it is that we do on here. I mentioned it up front. I will just mention one more time that last night I did finally do the thing that I've been saying I was going to do for years now, which is release some of the music that I created for this show, like the theme that we're listening to now and some of the other music that I play on here. I finally uploaded those for people to listen to, even after saying I was going to do this for a long, long time. So if you want to listen to that, there's the link there. I finally did the thing that I've been saying for a very long time I was going to do. So please enjoy. Please enjoy that.
Let's bring in Al Jazeera senior political.
Excuse me? I'm just trying to look for some stuff that we can watch today and do. I'm still trying to find. There's that video on Al Jazeera that was previewed on Twitter saying, oh, the rest of the piece is going to be released later today, and I still have not seen it. I don't know if I'm just not looking in the right place or what. I believe I have heard of that staggeringly handsome chatter. Not really surprising for either Canada or Alberta. Slave Lake. And they renamed the town that in fucking 1923. You mean to tell me that Canada actually has a long legacy of racism and genocide and white supremacy and colonialism? Is that what you're telling me? I was under the impression that none of those things existed in Canada. That we were a post-racial social democracy, melting pot, multiculturalism. You're telling me that's not the case? Wow. This is crazy. This is the first time hearing about this. That can't be true. Canadians are very polite. Well, the two things can be true. That's the thing. We're just very polite, genocidal racists here in Canada. We're very polite and civil when we carry on the business of, doing genocide to benefit a handful of resource extraction conglomerates. We're very polite and civil as we carry this out. I was listening to the episode with VJ earlier, just when I was walking around as well, and I was really, really happy to have that conversation. It's really cool now that I have this kind of trilogy of conversations that I've done with VJ. You can really listen to all three of these, and over the years, it tells this little story about, this kind of shifting geopolitical landscape. I'm really, really thankful that I've been able to speak with him. I've talked before about, I don't know how I would do this, but I've talked with so many interesting and cool people on here. It'd be really cool to make some kind of a video featuring different quotes from all the different people that I've spoken to, with some kind of like a documentary style thing, with some sort of talking head quotes from the people that I've spoken to. That would be a really interesting project to work on, but I would have no idea how to even start doing that. Maybe that's something I can think about. Oh, chat's still waking up. I'm getting my stuff going here, you know, before noon. I'm up at the crack of noon here streaming. Chat's still a step behind. Do you have like a list of projects you want to work on? Yeah, it's all up here. It's all up here, and it changes and shifts, and I forget about things and then remember things. And then I go, oh, I should do that. I'm going to do that right now. And I sit down and I do something else. And then I don't do the thing that I said I was going to do. It's like jazz. That's how I engage my journalism or my commentary, my analysis. It's a very jazz-like approach. There's a lot of room for improvisation and changing the plan and just kind of going with the flow. This is how they teach you to do it in J school. Just keep everything on this disordered list in your head that can change at any time. I sometimes think about like trying to write a book, like trying to see if I can get someone to pay me to write a book. Which at the same time, like it would simultaneously be this like dream of mine to be an actual like published author. At the same time, it would be an absolute. If I ever successfully convinced someone to give me money to write a book, I would be immediately panic mode. The next day, why did I do this? Why the fuck did I do this? Why did I do this? I would instantly go immediately into panic mode. And it would probably just be pure, just like a painful, stressful situation that I would instantly regret. Yes, I did clear level 24. Yes, I did. On that game that I was playing yesterday. I did shortly after I ended the stream. I think you got to write the book first. Not necessarily. I think, like, ideally you'd want to speak with a publisher or whatever, than someone that would be interested in an idea for a book. Spending the amount of time to write something without having, like, any kind of, like income or whatever, no real, knowledge of whether it was going to be published or not, I think would probably not be something I would do. I think I would only do that if there was actual interest in publishing a book somewhere. In fact, I think that's the only way that I would do it, because then I would have to. You know what I mean? I would be forced to. I think you'd have to do a lot of the work for a book before anyone gave you money for a book, but I do, though. I have done the work for the book. It's this. You know, it's all the stuff that I do. It's the articles and the commentary and the analysis and all the shows and stuff that I do. That's thinking like a capitalist? Not really, because like if I was a capitalist, then I would own a book manufacturing company, and I would own a factory where people were employed there and produced the books, which I'm not going to be doing. The most I can hope for is getting one of those companies to maybe give me money in order to do it. Maybe you could do an audiobook, like a podcast of sorts. Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing for me too, Crackety Crack. And like, if I thought about sitting down and writing a book, it would just be the most painful exercise. But when I think about the amount of words, even if you take away over the last 4 years all the nonsense and all the memes and the jokes, if you just took like all the serious shit that I've talked about over the last 4 years, it would be like so many books. It would be tens of thousands of words. It's weird to me how it's like it's easy for me to do this, to like talk into a microphone, but the idea of taking those thoughts and having them go through my body into my fingers and onto a piece of paper, that's just like unimaginable to me. There's nothing more painful to me than doing that. That's thinking of like a member of a capitalist society. There we go. That's right. Well, listen, I got bills. I got bills and rent. I got a kid I got to take care of. I can't be spending dozens of hours writing a book that I don't know will ever like lead to any actual success. You know, I literally that's just not an option for me. It would be nice if all my material needs were taken care of, but they're not. So. What would be your passion project, like the subject? I don't know. I mean, it would probably just be sort of a distillation of some of the ideas that I have. I think probably if I was trying to like, you need a sugar daddy, I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. I think just like a distillation of some of the things that I talk about, maybe something that's kind of like semi-autobiographical, talk a little bit. I've had a kind of weird and interesting life. Something that was kind of semi-autobiographical, but also talked about, you know, the kind of news and politics and ideas that I'm into, and maybe some ideas for the future. I think it would probably be something like that. You know, like Canada, coming to terms with like the reality of Canada versus like the version of Canada that you're brought up to believe, you know, that kind of stuff. And the way that the reality of Canada really contradicts with this like ideal version of it that's kind of sold to us through advertising. So maybe something that's like somewhat semi-autobiographical that talks a little bit about that, Canada's role in the world, and also just like the various kind of geopolitical changes that I've been thinking about and talking about, and, you know, my hopes for the future and this kind of stuff. We'll see. But like I said, I would not do that unless like I could, you know, that would be the central question about that. What's the Bunsen? What's the Bunsen? Bunsen burner, nice little earner. That's what that question would have to be answered before I ever engaged in anything like that. Make sure to throw some spicy drama in there to boost sales. Well, I got some of that. Let me tell you. Jesus. You know, I've had an interesting life though. I'm like a failed rock star, you know? I somehow managed to like reinvent myself in my 30s as being like a whatever this is, podcaster and live streamer and news and politics commentator. You know, it's been a weird journey for me throughout my whole life. So I think probably if it came down to it, it would be cool. Blogger, that's right. If it came down to it, I think it would be like, I could write something that would maybe be just like interesting and entertaining on that level, and then maybe that also has some, maybe a few ideas in there even as well. From boy band to blogger, the Rob Russett story. There we go. We got a title. Raconteur throughout. Yeah, of course. Of course. Now that I'm talking about it, maybe I should actually put more effort into seeing if I can get someone to do this. I'm kind of selling myself on this idea. I did not plan on talking about this, but now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, maybe this is not half bad of an idea. On the Edge, a Gooner's History of Canada. That's good too, yeah. Has anyone written an autobiography called Sick Individual? I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this. Shout out to Owen Schroyer. Shout out to Owen Schroyer. Love him or hate the guy. He's a central part of the TRRS mythology. Infowars Owen Schroyer. He did invite me to go talk to him on Infowars one time. Maybe I should have done that. I think I listened to people that said I think it probably would have been a good idea to go on Infowars in retrospect and have a little conversation with Owen. Probably not in studio, no. Should reach out to Owen and see how he's doing. I know he had some legal trouble based on his participation in the whole January 6th situation. Which I actually, as much as I think Owen's views are detestable, like reading about his case in January 6th, I kind of felt a little bit bad for him. I don't even think he went inside the Capitol. I don't even think he went inside. He somehow got scooped up. And like, even though I don't like Owen or appreciate his views in any way, I think he's a pretty noxious person, but I was like, I felt kind of bad for him. I thought he got done pretty dirty by the feds there. I don't know. Maybe he did go inside. In that case, like, it's kind of on him for being a dumbass, though, but I don't even think he did. He got scooped up by Biden's woke army. That's right. Yeah, Praxis, that was Ash Sarkar. Yeah, that was like her big moment. I've been saying for a while that I should try and get on TV more and try and see if I can get on normie TV and say some outrageous shit. That would probably help my career. Yeah, it's been a weird, it's been a crazy last like 10-15 years for me, I'll tell you that much. Really longer. It's been quite a wild ride since probably my early 20s. I think sometimes about the various decisions that I've made that have led me here to this moment. Do you follow Big Dog Socialism on IG? I keep seeing them reposting your tweets. I don't think so. I don't follow a lot of those meme accounts. I can barely go on Instagram anymore because my entire Instagram feed is accounts that I don't follow. Like my entire feed. It's like 5% accounts that I actually follow and just all these like meme accounts and other accounts that I do not follow. It's like really weird. Big Dog Socialism. Am I on there? I think I've seen a couple of these. Well, I don't really feel like scrolling through my phone right now on camera. Fucking lumberjack recipes and cat videos. Well, and that's the thing. It's like you see, I mean, that leads into the whole conversation about TikTok. You see like these other social media companies trying, because that's what you go, when I go on TikTok, I understand that's when I open the app, it's under the understanding that I'm going to see content from all kinds of random people that I don't know. And I'm trusting the TikTok algorithm on my For You page to deliver some shit that I want to see. And it does that with like, I think a relatively high degree of success. I see a lot of really cool music content and cooking content. There's political stuff. I do get some like, I've heard people like talk about how it promotes these right-wing things. I guess there's an element of that. I do get a lot of like manosphere adjacent stuff, like the Joe Rogan stuff, people doing ice plunges and like all these kind of and carnivore diets and that kind of stuff. Like I will see that kind of stuff, but I think, you know, it's on you at that point whether you're going to get pulled down the right-wing pipeline because you get really interested in people taking ice plunges, you know? I might look at people doing ice plunges out of kind of a morbid curiosity, but I'm not becoming a fucking dipshit libertarian immediately afterwards, or like an anti-vaxxer or whatever it is. So that's the thing. TikTok, I understand that that's what it is. I understand that that's what the algorithm is going to do, is just deliver content from people that I don't know and that I don't follow. But that's why it's all these other companies, Meta and social media companies, trying to catch up with TikTok, trying to take that same approach. And now Instagram is the same thing. Now it's like, would you like to see this? But it's like, that's not why I signed up for Instagram in the first place. It was just so I can share photos with people that I know and look at what they're up to. And that's exactly why Meta and other social media companies are at least partially behind this effort to ban TikTok right now. Because they want that market share, because TikTok does social media better than they do. That's why it's like, if not the most popular social media application, it's one of them. Because it's just better. It is, and it's got a more engaged community. And that's exactly, or at least one of the reasons that it's in the process of possibly being banned right now. Like this bill just passed the House. Who knows what's going to happen in the Senate, but it passed pretty overwhelmingly in the House. Like, it very well may pass, and Biden has said he was going to sign it, which is, in effect, a ban of TikTok, even if they're trying not to frame it like that. Nancy Pelosi gave that absurd statement the other day. It's like, we're trying to make TikTok better. It's like tic-tac-toe. Like, this is the fucking people that are making these decisions. But no, they're not planning on making it better. They're just trying to get the Chinese company that owns and operates and created TikTok to forcefully divest from the company, which they're not going to do. They've repeatedly said that they're not going to do it. So it is a ban, and it's like an incredibly popular application that hundreds of millions of people use. It has nothing to do with privacy or anything like that. No one in the United States government gives a fuck about your privacy. If they did, they would pass legislation that protected your privacy, but they don't. This is entirely about opening up market share for other American-owned social media companies that are also beholden to the national security state, and about fear-mongering about Chinese spying in our society. It's pretty much just purely a racist endeavor. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen. I mean, I think people are going to fucking lose it if they actually do ban TikTok, which looks right now like it may happen. The Patriot Act renewers famous privacy heads. And there's in this bill, this is what people are not, even people that hate TikTok. Like, I know people that are like, no, it should be banned. Like, it's bad for society. Like, people can say that. I don't think it's any worse than any other social media company. And in fact, I think it's actually good in many ways. There's a lot of really important information on there politically about Palestine in particular right now, but all kinds of other things. Yeah, it's like, if they do ban it, people are going to lose their minds. And that's what I mean. It's not just about this one company. Like I said, I don't think it's any worse than any other social media company. And in fact, I think it's actually better because it is foreign owned and it's not owned by these American companies that are beholden to American interests. But it's going to give the United States government like this extremely draconian ability to ban and censor and silence content that they deem threatening to national security, which could be anything. It's not going to be just about TikTok. I think like it's funny to joke around about these like decrepit old fucks in the United States government talking about this stuff that they have no understanding of, but like, it is genuinely quite a dangerous situation. Like, the draconian powers that this bill gives the United States government, which is passing, again, fully bipartisan in the House. So that's it. I think it's like, it's not just about TikTok. It's like actually a dangerous moment. It's about silencing people's speech and preventing people from being able to communicating certain ideas with one another. I think this is one thing I've realized, especially about the last like 20 years of online as well. It's had this kind of like Wild West quality. There's like really this lack of regulation, this lack of this lack of like roadblocks in your ability to share certain ideas or information, and downloading certain of the programs and media and stuff like that. Like, I feel like we're in this problem right now where that's in the process of all going away. We've already seen all these like, you know, a lot of internet websites now have just like morphed into one, like a handful of companies basically that control all the content, these social media companies. And this whole idea of the internet being this free and open space is kind of going away. And like this TikTok bill, if it does go through the Senate, if Biden signs it, is going to be like another sort of domino falling in the ability of Western governments to totally control what we talk about and share online. So, you know, we can joke around about it, but it's genuinely a pretty kind of scary situation. And like I said, people are going to lose it. People are going to fucking lose it. TikTok is so popular, you know, across the ideological spectrum. Like, people on the right like it, working class people, Zoomers, young people. Like, it's really, really popular. People are not just going to be like, oh, well, they banned it. I guess I'll just go start posting my content on Instagram or wherever else. You know? It affects content creators. Like, I mean, even all the small business people. Like, you claim to love small businesses. There's tons of small businesses that have, like, become successful because of TikTok. And yeah, people are going to lose it. People are going to fucking lose it if it gets banned. And you see Donald Trump and people on the right now getting on the right side of that because they see that Joe Biden and Democrats are like supporting it. And you can talk about why that is. Oh, are they being cynical, or are they just doing it because they're beholden to whatever investor? Who gives a shit? These guys are they're getting on the right position of it. Like, if we go into an election cycle and one of these central issues of it is if Republicans win, TikTok comes back, or if Democrats win, it stays banned, that's going to be a huge not a deciding factor, but it's going to be a huge factor in that election, as ridiculous as that is. If it's downloaded on our phones, we can still use it, right? Well, that's that. I think the consequences of it remain a little bit unclear. In fact, I am speaking to tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to do this on the stream because it's for the Insurgents podcast. But tomorrow I'm going to speak to Kat Tenbarge, who's the tech and culture reporter for NBC News. I'm going to talk to her tomorrow morning about this bill and do an Insurgents podcast episode about it. So, yeah, people are really going to lose it. If Klon Kitchens says TikTok is dangerous, Klon Kitchens, yeah, wouldn't be able to install any updates. Well, that's it. If it's taken off of the app stores, then no one else can download it once it's gone. There's stuff in this bill that if you try to get around the restrictions, you can face like huge penalties. Like, there's stuff in this bill. Like, if you use a VPN to download TikTok, you can like get in legal trouble for this. So that's it. No one could download it. It would just wither away and die. It would really affect people's ability to still use it. Oh. Let's look. I didn't actually look. I retweeted this post last night, but I didn't actually look at the Klon Kitchen guy. Like, they're just making up guys now. Like, let's be real here. Let's be real here. They're just making up guys. This is not a real guy. Like, you know what I mean? It's enough. It's enough. Let's stop pretending here. Klon Kitchen. Klon Kitchen. We really have people named Klon
What makes
Kitchen
TikTok particularly concerning?
making these kinds of decisions for us here. This is what's happening.
Is its relationship. What makes TikTok particularly concerning is its relationship with the Chinese Communist Party in Beijing, the government of China.
Don't care.
The Chinese have fused their government and their industry together so that they cooperate to
that's
achieve
cool.
the ends of the state.
And TikTok is a factor in that?
That's actually good that they do that.
But when you look at it, it just...
Google him. This guy's a piece of work. I was reading yesterday. He literally, if you look at this guy's LinkedIn, Klon Kitchen, he went to some he studied Bible studies at some shitty college and then just immediately spent 15 years in the intelligence community afterwards. These are the people that are doing this, they're putting in the work here. He's a Bible studies major from some shitty Christian college and then just became a spook for 15 years. And now he's out there advocating for why this like app that millions of people rely on needs to be banned.
Ends of the state.
And TikTok is a factor in that?
Yeah. So
when you look at it, it just seems
dance videos,
fun and innocuous.
That's how they
Imagine
get
you woke up tomorrow morning and you saw a news report that China had distributed 100 million sensors around the United States.
I would think that was a
and
good
at
thing.
any time an American
if I woke up and read that as a news headline, China has distributed 100 million sensors in the United States, I'd say, great, good for them. I'm happy for them. I love that for them. That's what I would say.
walked past one of these sensors, this sensor automatically collected off of your phone your name, your home address, your personal network, who you're friends with, your online viewing habits, and a whole host of other pieces of information. Well, that's precisely what TikTok is. It has 100 million US users. It collects all of that information.
And more.
Which every social media company does. Every single social media company does this. Like if China wanted to get our social media our data is out there. China probably, whether you have TikTok or not, China probably already has your data.
Wow. Okay, Rob. Seriously, wow.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Diego, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Goodness gracious, Diego, thank you. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate all the support, Diego. Thank you. And if anyone else wants to subscribe, again, I got a hard cutoff at 2 p.m. today. If you want to support this program, like our incredible, amazing, and very handsome friend, Diego, please do subscribe. Help me make the little number. It's down there. Help me make the little number at the bottom of the screen go up. Diego, I was thinking of you too. I know you've been talking about that music for a while now. I've been saying for years that I was going to upload it. It's up there. I'm happy you are happy. But this is the whole thing about privacy and all this shit and data. This bill has nothing to do with your privacy or your data. If the U.S. government wanted to protect your privacy and data, there's ways that they can do that. Like you can look at, and the only state that has done anything in that respect is California. There's actually rules in California. Europe is also way ahead of the curve here about regulating this and trying to protect your privacy and protect your data. This bill has nothing to do with protecting your privacy. Your data is out there. Your data is out there. It's in its own, again, these American companies, Meta, etc., and on the private sector as well. If China wants your data, they've probably got it. There's ways to get it. They don't need TikTok to get your data, or Russia, or whatever other country, or Israel, or any other country. They can get your data if they want it. If the United States government was interested in protecting that at all, they could do so. But that's not at all what this bill is. Yeah, the Patriot Act's literally been in place for 23 years. The NSA scrapes everything, for sure. Yeah, exactly. But we're the good guys though, so we're allowed to. We're doing it to protect your national security, but China's doing it to destabilize, to threaten your national security. Why even spy on the United States to laugh at how stupid the country is? Yeah, I imagine so. I think sometimes about that whole, like, you just notice the Kesha lyrics. You like that? Strong Bad. No, it's true. Like, we talked about it when the whole balloon thing was going on. Like, China must have just been fucking imagine some of the closed door, like, Politburo meetings when that whole thing was going on. They must have just been laughing their asses off about our paranoid, psychotic response to a goddamn balloon flying across the country. They were probably just like, are these people serious? What's wrong with them? Oh my God. They fly spy planes over our territory like every single day. We don't have a word to say about it. And a balloon floats over there. The entire country loses their minds and they shoot it down with a goddamn missile. I'm sure they had a nice chuckle about that. Anyway, my point though is this has nothing to do with privacy or data or anything like that. Zero.
Like many U.S. social media companies, TikTok asks users for access to their cameras, microphones, photos, videos, and contacts.
You might as well put
More
the like dark
obscure
music
data, like
cue in here.
keystroke patterns, are collected from everyone using the app.
The idea this asshole is fear-mongering about our phones spying on us when we've known for a decade they already are. What the fuck? Yeah, like, you don't even need to have TikTok on your phone. And we've all experienced this at some point, having like a conversation with someone, not even searching, not typing on your phone, having a conversation with someone about something, a vacation you want to go on to, a product that you want, and then opening up your phone and seeing an advertisement for the thing that you were talking about. Every single person, every single one of us has experienced that. That has nothing to do with China or TikTok whatsoever. Well, that's the thing, Strong Bad. It's like, people, you can like TikTok or not TikTok, again, or not like it. Like again, I think it's a really good platform. I like using it a lot. But it's not just about, like, there's trash on every single social media app. But that's the whole thing, is that it's not just about TikTok. This is about the United States government taking unilateral power to destroy any application or website or communication system or social media, whatever, that they say threatens national security, and taking the ability to shut that down and shut down your ability to share information with other people that they deem as threatening to their national security. So whether you like TikTok or not like it, it's like, it doesn't really matter. It's still something that we should all be kind of like alarmed by, the fact that they're kind of trying this power grab here. Oh my God, Joe. This is so accurate too. It's not because I didn't want to pay attention, because I get these mind viruses and then I can't stop thinking about it. Oh man. And anyway, like I was saying though, like, you know, whether you use TikTok or you don't use it, or you like it or you don't like it, I think that's the thing, is that like there's something like 130 million Americans that use TikTok, and a lot of people really like it. So people are going to lose their fucking minds. And like we said, we already see like Vivek Ramaswamy and Donald Trump saying like, no, even though they supported banning TikTok before, you know, now they're like, for whatever reason, you know, it doesn't have to be for the right reasons. It might be because they're getting bought out. But now they're saying like, no, I don't agree with it. And like, if you have a situation where Joe Biden is banning this popular social media website and people on the right are saying, no, we shouldn't be doing that, it's going to be it's a gift. It's an absolute gift to the conservative movement to concede that to them. Yeah, there will be a huge backlash. Like hundreds, I think like 130 million Americans are on that. A lot of people really love it. I really hate how contrarian maniacs essentially dictate federal policy. Well, yeah, I mean, I hate everything about our and the way our political system operates. It's an absurd joke. You know, I agree. Anyway, that was from Klon Kitchen. Klon Kitchen. Yeah, look at this. Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL. This was in November.
But I also want to point out that we have a major generational problem. All the polling I've seen, ADL's polling, ICC's polling, independent polling, suggests this is not a left-right gap, folks. The issue in the United States in support for Israel is not left and right. It is young and old. And the numbers of young people who think that Hamas's, massacre was justified is shockingly and terrifyingly high. And so we really have a TikTok problem, a Gen Z problem.
Like, this is the thing. Like, I know there's other reasons for why this ban's happening. Like I said, I think the influence of like Meta and American social media companies that want that market share is a big part of it. But the timing of it with Israel's genocide in Gaza is not a coincidence either. And the swiftness that it came together, the swiftness, which the House in the United States, which doesn't agree on fucking anything, that can't pass any kind of legislation about healthcare or infrastructure or whatever other major serious issue you can talk about, that don't agree on anything whatsoever, paralyzed with gridlock. The fact that right now they can come together to like ram this through. I mean, it's not exclusively Israel, but the timing is not a coincidence either. Which is yet another reason that I think we should be against this, because they recognize it themselves. And TikTok has been, like, you should see some of the shit that I've seen on TikTok. Young people that have been extremely radicalized just over the last couple of months about the reality of Israel-Palestine, just like since October 7th, not prior to that. It has had a huge impact on this younger generation, on this specific issue. Which is one of the reasons I think it's a really a possible force for positive things to happen. Like I said, there's plenty of dog shit on there as well. There's plenty of right-wing reactionary content. I guess when it comes to like censoring content, I've kind of come around to a kind of more of a libertarian position here. Like I've talked a lot about like the right-wing pipeline over the years and dangerous people radicalizing people to be anti-immigrant or anti-Semitic or racist online. I think it's a huge problem. And I've supported, people like Tucker Carlson. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. If you ask me personally, if I was in charge, I think we should censor and suppress right-wing content, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm just going to come right out and tell you, I, Rob Rousseau, think that we should censor and suppress and ban right-wing content. And we should suppress and ban the bad ideas and promote the good ideas. The reality, though, is that these major social media companies, even if they might bow to pressure to censor whatever horrid right-wing person, they don't have this kind of ethos, and they're almost always going to take that and then try and show how reasonable they are by banning other people on the other side. We've seen Meta banning pro-Palestine accounts. I was taken off of Twitter briefly because of my advocacy and the kind of stuff that I talk about. We can't trust these big social media companies with the ability to censor these kinds of views. Even if I personally, Rob Rousseau, would like that. Again, I would like to censor and silence and ban these conservatives and reactionaries, and I would have no problem with that, moral or ethical or anything like that. I would have no problem with it whatsoever. But I think if the choice is between empowering the government or these social media companies to go after content that they don't like, that they find extreme or extremist content, which is always going to go right back around towards like indigenous justice, Palestine, climate justice, social justice, systemic racism, it's always going to be applied in that direction, probably more. So if there's a choice between empowering these social media companies or governments to like having this ability, or just having kind of like a Wild West free-for-all where you can just, people don't need to worry as much about being removed for saying certain things or having certain viewpoints, I would prefer option B, you know? That's just the reality. And if I was in charge of one of these companies, it would be different, but I'm not. And when that day comes, or if it does come, I don't think it will, but if it does come, I will have no problem banning or censoring or silencing whatever shitty right-wing content that there is. You know, I have no problem whatsoever. But I'm not in charge. It's Wall Street and national security and Silicon Valley tech dipshits that are in charge. So if between those two options, I think I would rather have a Wild West situation where you can say what you want and you can take whatever viewpoint that you want. They target the left more than the right anyways. I mean, they always will. They always will. This is, I mean, you see like the FBI or whatever going after these far right groups, and you might not like these groups, and I don't. But they're always going to take the powers they have to go after domestic extremism. There might be some cursory effort to go after like the Klan or like bad guys on the right, you know, terrorists and these psychos on the right. But they're also going to go after the climate movement. They're going to go after the Palestine movement. They're going to go after the anarchists and socialists, just as they always have. So, but a Wild West situation scares the sponsors' ad revenue away, and that's true as well, Joe. I mean, I'm not making a claim that there should be no moderation or anything like that. I don't think that either. I guess my point though is that it's dangerous to entrust these social media companies with this, or to encourage them to go after extremists like this, because the ruling class sees extremism a lot differently than we do. I see Diego posting about the music in the Discord server. That makes me very happy. I'm happy to see that. Yeah, anyway, just to clarify that, I'm not advocating that there should be no moderation or anything like that. We need to try and protect people, especially marginalized people that face all kinds of harassment and other really shitty treatment online. It can be used to directly harm people. I'm not saying that nothing should be done to try and prevent that. That's not really what I'm saying. But I think overall, like in this kind of big picture stuff, it's going to be better, I think, if there's less censorship, even if I don't personally agree. Like, again, I would love to censor all kinds of people. I would absolutely love to censor and suppress and silence a whole number of people. You know? And that's why I think I should be in charge. I think they should put me in charge of it. These social media companies always have this big problem. But if we ban all these Nazi guys, then we have to ban like people on the left. No, you don't. You don't actually have to. You can just ban the Nazis. You can just ban the like psychotic transphobes and reactionaries. You can just do that. You don't have to have some kind of balance. You don't have to go after like indigenous people or social justice advocates or the climate movement or Palestine movement. You don't have to do that at all, actually. You can just ban the right-wing people. This is what I've been trying to get across to some of these people over the years, but no one listens to me on this kind of stuff. What's hilarious is that the bill, can I be banned? No. What's hilarious is that the bill gives ByteDance 6 months to sell TikTok or be banned. That ban could happen a month before the election if it makes it past the Senate and they don't want to sell. And they don't want to. They're not going to sell. They've made that abundantly clear. They've made that abundantly clear. They're not selling. Yeah, so great strategy. That would actually, that would be fantastic. A month before the election for the TikTok ban to take place. These people are just fantastic at doing politics. Masterful gambit, sir. That's right. No, I saw the video that the CEO made this morning. Yeah. I got to see the Nancy Pelosi thing. I got to see the Pelosi thing. We haven't looked at it. It's so stupid.
An attempt to ban TikTok.
It is.
This is not an attempt to ban TikTok.
Yes, it is.
It's an attempt to make TikTok better. Tic-tac-toe, a winner.
I'm gonna tic-tac jump out of a window.
Eddie. I didn't realize this is an Eddie video. I was just looking at the Pelosi.
And TikTok. It's an attempt to make TikTok better. Tic-tac-toe, a winner. A winner. A winner. This
Just so stupid. Just so stupid. And it's not going to make TikTok a winner by cutting off 130 million people from using its service. Give this woman more. This is how she's become. Listen, we might criticize Pelosi now, but there's a reason she's one of the most successful stock traders of all time, okay? Maybe we should trust her business acumen. She's proven time and time again her prowess when it comes to trading stocks, better than any of the kind of hedge funds or whoever, all that so-called experts. Pelosi absolutely destroys them in the stonks. So maybe we should be paying attention to what this lady says. And just an unbeatable track record of huge success in the stock market since becoming an elected official. That's just something we need to respect. I keep screaming about why they don't seem to get the whole taking away bread and circus stuff is usually bad for the leaders. It's true. That's a really good point. Like, what the fuck? This is the kind of shit that's preventing bad stuff from happening, you know? It's something I've talked about a lot. It's not just about this, but it's just about it's about the refusing to do even the bare minimum to improve people's lives. You know, that's what I've talked about, this system being like a kind of a death cult. It's in this death spiral, and it seems like almost they want it. It seems like they're almost trying to bring that on. Let's make let's refuse to do anything that meaningfully improves people's lives. You know, if people have their basic necessities met, they're not going to want to get out and protest. They're not going to want to fuck things up. They're not going to want to they're going to want to just enjoy their lives. If you just take few basic steps to improve people's material conditions, give people access to healthcare, give them access to education, make sure you can get a job, make sure you can pay rent, let people have their fucking toys and their treats, they're going to be way less likely to riot in the streets. And they're just refuse. They're taking away everything. And people are organizing and just begging for some small crumbs, right? Just, can we have some of the crumbs? We see the $1 trillion every year going to the defense industry. We see the trillions of dollars every year these capitalist class, the billionaire class is raking in. Can we just have a few crumbs, right? Can we have a few crumbs of social democracy? Can we have better unemployment benefits? Can we have cheaper childcare? Can we have subsidized housing? Can we have healthcare? Can we just have a few little crumbs from the table? And these same people are just like, no crumbs. In fact, we're taking away the stuff that you still have managed to hold on to all these years. We're taking that away. It's like, what is wrong with these people? You know? And they're like, no one wants to have babies anymore. The white race is being destroyed. All these immigrants are coming in. They're replacing the white race. And people are like, okay, well, can childcare be cheaper? So we'll have more babies. How many couples and people are there out there that are like, I'm not going to have a child, even if I want to, because it's so fucking expensive and I can't afford it. And they're like, no, you can't. No, it's just going to continue to get more expensive, actually. And then they're looking around going, what? What's going on? It's truly amazing. It's I don't understand it. I don't get it. It is like some Freudian death drive that these people have. Let's just take away everything that gives people's lives meaning. How about that? Have we tried that? For what? So their little numbers can go up. Their little numbers in the computer. That's all. It's not like the powerful people that are benefiting from this, they don't even materially see any of that benefit. Nothing changes for them. What changes is their little number in a spreadsheet. And they go onto their little website and they look at their little number and it's like, oh, it's gone up even more. How wonderful. It's all for numbers in a computer. That's all. And everything, they're threatening our entire like social cohesion. We're facing down like ecological and social collapse. And all these people would have to do to avoid some of that is just see their little numbers go up, not even go down, but go up slightly less quickly. And they're like, no, absolutely not. It is really incredible. These people are really astounding to me. I do not understand them. The only powerful person whose number deserves to go up is Rob Rousseau. I mean, the one thing I'm going to push back on there is that I'm powerful. I'm not, like, maybe physically. Yeah, sure. Physically powerful, mentally powerful. In terms of my, like, influence in society, I'm just a little guy. I'm just a small little guy. But if you do want to help me make my little number go up, you can do so by subscribing to this program. Or you can change the numbers in my computer by donating bits as well. Or tips, or subscribing on Patreon, or whatever it is. But folks, the only way I'm able to continue doing this show every day, and again, I'm not powerful, but the only way that I'm able to continue to even do this is if people subscribe and help me make the little number at the bottom of the screen go up. So if you can, folks, please do subscribe. I'm going to be here till 2 p.m. today. That's why I got started earlier. I'm going to be here till 2 p.m. Please subscribe if you can. Help me make the little number go up and help me survive another day on this platform, which for now is still legal. You know, it's still legal for me to go on Twitch and talk about this stuff. I am not counting on that continuing indefinitely. No, it's okay up the Reds. I think I had made my point there. But that's it. It's the death drive. It's the capitalist death drive. That's why I think, honestly, I honestly think if we had a revolution and took away these people's money, like the last emperor of China, we would be doing them a favor. We would be helping them. Like, these people are sick. The money is making them more sick. They've got this disease. They've got this disease of greed that can never be satiated. They're destroying our whole world. They're destroying our whole planet so they can feed this greed that they have, this bottomless pit in the place where their soul is supposed to be. So I think we would be helping them. We would be helping them to take away all that money, to put them in position to help, re-educate, to put them in positions where they can actually help society. Nancy Pelosi could spend the rest of her life, working in a library or something, or working in the public park, or doing something useful. She could spend the rest of her life doing something useful and meaningfully contributing to society instead of whatever this is. We would be helping them. I work at the library. Well, there you go. Keep going. You contribute far more to society than Nancy Pelosi or anyone else in the United States government does. That's the thing I don't get about them. Why do you want to work till you're 80 when you're filthy rich? Well, that's the thing, because they're sick. These people are sick. They're sick people. Look at Dianne Feinstein. She fucking gave away whatever the last few years of her life she could have been living in dignity. Whether you like her or not like her, she had a long, illustrious political career. She could have retired when she was 75 and lived in her mansion and not publicly deteriorated physically and mentally in front of millions of people. Why? Why do you stay in that position for all that long? It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. Yeah, and if they actually worked a real job, they wouldn't work till they were 80. Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. We would be helping these people. They are a bunch of golems. They are. We would be helping them by taking all that away from them. We would be doing them a favor. No, same bleep lord. Like it's like humiliating. And for what? You know, for what? Pelosi can spend the rest of her life turning big rocks into small rocks to be used for rail bed substrate. I feel like she's a little frail for that. I don't know. That would certainly be contributing more to society than she is now, but, you know, we need to be cognizant of people's physical limitations as well. I'm sure we could find something for her. So no one subscribed when I gave that call to action, which is okay. But I'll just reiterate as well that, you know, it's the only way that I'm able to do this show every day, folks, is if people do subscribe. So please don't leave me hanging. If you do enjoy this program, we had a fantastic conversation with renowned author and journalist and historian Vijay Prashad yesterday. And if you want to support the work that I do on here, please do subscribe if you can. I would really appreciate it. And now I can't, because now I'm thinking about it. So now someone kind of just has to bail me out. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Someone's got to bail me out here so I can move on.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you for the gifted sub, Crystal. I appreciate it.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Are we getting two?
You can count on me. You're going to have good old
two
Rob
notifications
to
now,
talk
two
you
alerts?
through all this.
TRRS Sankara.
Weird luck. Thank you for the 12 months of tier 1. That's an entire year. That's an entire year. Weird luck. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. If it weren't for Rob, we would never know what Vijay Prashad had to say about gooning. Exactly. I'm asking the hard-hitting questions. Having the hard-hitting conversations over here. Oh, okay. I think I might get a little drink of water. I'm a lurker, but I love the streams. Thank you, Weird Luck. I appreciate it. I hope people understand why I got to do the calls to action and I got to do this shit.
You can count on me.
Believe me, I would really rather
to
not
talk you through all this.
Believe me, I would rather not have to do this. I trust me. Bleep Lord, thank you for the 2 gifted subs. I really appreciate it, Bleep Lord. I would really rather not have to do it.
You're gonna have good old
it's
Rob
just
to
it's
talk
the only
you
way
through
that I
all
can do
this.
this. The only way that I can do this is if the little number goes up. I don't know what to tell you. I missed the conversation yesterday. I was busy AF. Well, no problem. I am going to be releasing it in podcast form probably later this evening. So, and you can look at the VOD. It's going to be on YouTube as well. Plenty of places that you can catch that. Kijiji, thanks for the gifted sub to Terrence Ross. Raptors legend, Terrence Ross. Thank you, Kijiji. I appreciate that as well. Let me just see if there's anything I can look at about this TikTok thing. There's a breaking points thing with, I think, Ryan Grimm. That could be good.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. Extra amazing bro show. People live for the pound there. It's good to see you, Ryan.
It's going to be amazing.
That's right. It's going to be amazing. So Crystal is off today, but we still have an amazing array of topics.
This
I got to do
fucking
the
guy.
tough part. I actually got to set up this damn show. So what are we covering today? TikTok. So the House
We
passed
got a hype
a
train
piece
close,
of
folks,
legislation
as
that
well.
we either forced.
We do have a hype train close as well, I should say. 1 minute and 50 to get this hype train out of the station. Just saying, another gifted sub, another sub, or a fistful of bits could push that train out of the station. Just FYI.
a sale or ban TikTok if their parent company ByteDance does not agree to sell it. We're going to talk about that. What exactly is in the bill, who is for it, who is against it. We're going to present all sides. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a debate here. State of Georgia
We
also
simply
throwing out
use
some
the
very
computer to mark up the size of the account.
Choo choo.
Why so dankness? Thanks for the 420 bits. That's the weed number. And we simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account. It's literally that easy.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
It is literally that easy. I can't stand either of these guys. I don't know. I like Ryan Grimm. I've talked to Ryan Grimm a number of times.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Sometimes Ryan Grimm takes positions that I don't totally agree with, but overall, I think his presence in this kind of like media establishment is a positive thing.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Pelicans, thank you for the gifted sub as well. And thank you, Anon, for 2 gifted subs as well. Thank you, Anon. Very, very kind of you. Our beautiful Anon. Thank you. And remember, 96% of the way to level 3 of this hype train, folks. 96% of the way there. One little sub or gift could push that to level 3. And then who knows what kind of cool emotes and other little goodies we can get from Twitch if we can juice that up just a little bit more. Who knows what we might get. $96, more like $69. Oh boy, why so dankness? Now we're really getting crazy with the numbers here.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Kijiji, as well. Ryan sometimes has lib opinions, but if you like it, feel like it, check out the Insurgents episode where he's a guest. He usually is very reasonable on the right subjects. Yeah, and like he's receptive to some of the ideas that I put across. I mean, we've talked about Ukraine stuff with Ryan, and I think I got him to at least be on the same page with me that like we definitely played a role in provoking it, which is something that I think everyone should be able to agree on, even if you might take a more anti-Russian stance or whatever. Oh, Kijiji, that was the D book. We're getting all the hoopers. We're getting all the hoopers joining the community. It would be so cool if Terrence Ross and Devin Booker started hanging out with us. Imagine seeing like Devin Booker showing up to an NBA playoff game in a Rousseau Institute hoodie. Imagine. He steps out of his crazy like a vintage car and he's got Rousseau Institute drip. That would be the dream, really. I think my problem with most of these close to mainstream journos or pundits like Grimm is that they still hang on to the fantasy that American democracy is legitimate and not fundamentally corrupted and unsalvageable. Yeah, I mean, Old Dutch, that's the whole thing about getting to mainstream media to be able to touch that position in mainstream media is I think there's a reason that no one that gets to that position advocates for those kind of ideas, because it's like you don't get hired if you have that belief, So we have to kind of like, I don't think we can be too choosy sometimes about some of the people that are in that kind of position. But yeah, I agree, Kev. There's certainly things that his stances that he's taken about the squad or about the Democratic Party that I don't totally agree with, Wait, America provokes wars in foreign nations since when? Surely it's a recent thing and not an always thing. I think that's pretty recent. I think that was just under Trump that was happening. I think it was just under the orange man, Donald Trump, that America was doing that. And now that Biden is back, they don't do it anymore. But so, folks, only 16 subs to go to get to the goal. Please subscribe if you can. We got this hype train going on. Please do subscribe. I appreciate it a lot. If you can, please help support the show and help me keep the show on the air. Let's get back to this clip about TikTok.
critical charges on the Donald Trump case down there, specifically actually related to that, quote, perfect phone call with Brad Raffensperger. So excited to break some of that down. RFK Jr. Making waves, possibly announcing his definitely announcing his vice presidential candidate next week. Some interesting names there on the list. Aaron Rodgers, Jesse Ventura, all kinds of different folks. Ben Shapiro, by his own admission, lighting the internet on fire, coming out against Social Security and the retirement age. Let's just say interesting, to say the least. Ryan in particular is going to break that one down. And then Don Lemon dropping an interview or doing an interview with Elon Musk and
okay, let's move this along here, buddy.
And then Ryan, you've got a great guest for us today. His name is Dan Foote.
Yeah, he was the envoy to Haiti who resigned in protest a couple years ago towards Haiti. It's resource
on. Oh, before I special stuff that is coming down the pipeline. Just had a meeting about it yesterday. Right? I can't give away too much. Can't give away too much. But big things are happening.
Unless you become a premium subscriber, it's not going to happen.
That's right. And that's right. Unless you become a premium.
They're taking my shtick.
The screen. Legislation passed the House of Representatives. So let's go ahead and start with TikTok. So there was
don't subscribe to Breaking Points is doing fine. Breaking Points is doing fine. Subscribe to this show. Don't subscribe to that. Okay? They're okay. They're doing fine.
Legislation passed the House of Representatives yesterday.
Thank you, Old
put
Dutch.
This up
You
there
can count on me.
And Old Dutch, honestly, that's exactly why
to talk you through all this.
That's why I prefer pundits with principles like our good friend Rob Rousseau. That's exactly why I like doing this show on this platform. You know, because I can say this kind of stuff, and I don't have to really I do self-censor a little bit. I'll cop to that because I want to make sure that I maintain this platform. But you know, I feel like I have a lot more editorial freedom to talk about stuff on this show, where I'm not beholden to anybody except Twitch terms of service, rather than any of these big media companies. This is why I would rather build a platform here than work for any of these companies. But in order to do that, I need to make the number go up. That's where that gets a little bit tricky. Anon, thank you for another gifted sub. I appreciate you, Anon.
How each House member voted on the bill that could ban TikTok. Overall, it was a pretty overwhelming majority that went ahead and passed.
Look at that, bipartisan.
352
Look how bipartisan it is, although more Dems opposing than Republicans.
Opposed. In terms of the breakdown, 155 Democrats voted yes, GOP 197, 50 Democrats voted no.
They can't agree like this on
Republicans
anything.
Voted no. There were 14 overall who did not vote and only one person who voted present. That one person is Yasmin Crockett. I wonder what her objection or not objection to the bill was. But anyway, so that's the overall breakdown. In terms of the people who voted no and who are Republicans, I think this is pretty noteworthy. A lot of them were Freedom Caucus, more libertarian types. We have Andy Biggs, Dan Bishop, Warren Davidson, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Clay Higgins,
and you see these fucking psychos.
Nancy Mace.
You see these fucking psychos in the Freedom Caucus taking the correct position on this. That's a problem when you have these Freedom Caucus lunatics taking the proper the good position on this, on many like foreign policy issues. That's a problem. That's really not good, because these people are lunatics. And Democrats and liberals should not be getting outflanked by these fucking psychos like Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene on this or on Ukraine or whatever other issue.
Thomas Massey, Tom McClintock, Alex Mooney, Barry Moore, Scott Perry, David Schweikert, and Greg Steube. So disproportionately, kind of the dissident right. More Freedom MAGA, Caucus-y. Libertarian, Freedom Caucus. Exactly. Pretty bipartisan, I would say, in terms of the support. Now, there's been a lot of discussion on what the hell is in this bill or not. We're going to break that down, but I thought it would be useful for everyone to present the cases for and against by kind of the two major legislative champions on either side. First is going to be Congressman Mike Gallagher, who co-sponsored and authored the legislation. Here's what he had to say in his case for the bill.
TikTok is a threat to our national security because it is owned by ByteDance, which does the bidding of the Chinese Communist Party. We know this because ByteDance leadership says so and because Chinese law requires it. This bill therefore forces TikTok to break up with the Chinese Communist Party. It does not apply to American companies. It only applies to companies subject to the control of foreign adversaries defined by Congress.
How much fucking control does Israel, the Israel lobby, have over our social media? Does that count as being foreign controlled? How much influence does the Israel lobby have over not just social media, but mainstream media? It's really interesting how we pick and choose what foreign control and foreign interference looks like and sounds like. Israel isn't identified as a foreign adversary.
Apply to American companies. It only applies to companies subject to the control of foreign adversaries defined by Congress. It says nothing
defined
about
by Congress, but Congress determines who counts as an adversary and who doesn't. This is part of the problem, isn't it?
election interference and cannot be turned against any American social media platform. It does not impact websites in general. The only impacted sites are those associated with foreign adversary apps, such as TikTok.com.
But again, look at other, first of all, in a free market, in a free society where you have free speech, you can read foreign journalism if you want to. It's not illegal to support China or to read Chinese state media or Iranian state media or Venezuelan state media or Cuban state media or Bolivian state media or Russian state media. Like, do we live in a free society where we have free discourse and free speech and free exchange of ideas, or do we not? So when you're taking this stance about foreign adversaries, that's what I mean. It's not just necessarily going to be about TikTok, but this can give the U.S. government a chance to go after all kinds of alternative media establishments that they don't like, that promote any ideas that they don't like. But like, that's what I mean. If you actually live in a society where you have a free exchange of ideas.
Seriously, wow.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Crackety Kraken, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. My goodness. Thank you to Crackety Kraken. Very, very generous, Crackety Kraken. I appreciate it a whole lot. Thank you. I really want to see how far they're willing to go to actively censor or suppress alternative forms of media. Well, that's the thing. They already did it with RT as well. And again, say what you want about Russia. You don't have to like the Russian government. Should you still be allowed to engage with Russian state media if you want to? Like we've talked about before, RT was one of the most popular sources for news in Latin America. Like, and whether you like Russia today or not, they've platformed people like Abby Martin. RT has been a source of like an alternative viewpoint about America, about empire, that is not present in our mainstream media. And you've seen them gone after RT in the last couple of years as well, with this whole like anti-Russia hysteria also. Yeah, and YouTube censored RT also. Many people around the world rely on RT for doing important journalism. Yeah, I liked RT. They gave Lee Camp a job. They got my vote. And that's what I mean. I think reading foreign state media or engaging with foreign state media is really important. You don't have to take everything that they say as gospel. You understand that foreign state media is going to have a certain slant on certain things. Al Jazeera is a good example. Al Jazeera is an arm of the Qatari government, right? They're always going to have a slant towards these like Gulf state monarchies. But they also do some incredibly important journalism when it comes to Palestine and when it comes to certain other issues. Like, and we're not stupid. We can engage with RT or we can engage with CGTN or other like Chinese state media. You understand that they're going to have a certain bias or a certain perspective when it comes to their own countries. That doesn't mean that all the journalism that they're doing is like completely useless. Like I said, RT has platformed people that would never get a platform in the United States of America in a mainstream level, like Abby Martin, who's someone that I respect a whole lot, you know? And if Americans don't want people going to RT or other foreign state media to get that kind of information, they should just have a space for that kind of viewpoint in our mainstream media, but we don't. But we don't have a space for that in our mainstream media. That's exactly why people do rely on this kind of foreign media. Crazy thing is that the far-right platform Rumble allows the pro-China, pro-Palestine, anti-capitalist, anti-fascist content. This is kind of what I was saying, Kev, about how it's like, I think I prefer that approach than this approach, this like heavy-handed censorious approach when it comes to social media, because ultimately that's going to be applied towards people on the left.
It can never be used to penalize individuals. The text explicitly prohibits that, and it cannot.
I don't think this is true.
Be used to censor speech. It takes no position at all on the content of speech.
It does censor speech, though, when you take away a platform that's used by 130 million people in the country. That's like definitionally, that's censoring their speech. To me, it just seemed that RT found people who had good critiques of the U.S. and hired them. Yeah, and we need to hear those voices, you know? Why in our media don't we have these people that have these kind of critiques of the U.S.? It's preposterous. Yeah, and I share that agenda as well, as you know. I like that CGTN doesn't have commercial interests, so instead of infomercials, they just show scenes from a park, fireworks at an event, wildlife, scented gentle music. It's actually really funny about how, like, you have, like, again, Russian media will have this, like, reactionary bent sometimes, or have all these, like, weird viewpoints. Whereas Chinese state media is just like this heartwarming scene when a panda mother fed bamboo to its child, and that's like all their like viral content.
Only foreign adversary control. Foreign adversary control of what is becoming the dominant news platform.
Is China a foreign adversary? Like, when you look at actually what China says, what does China want? Not according to them. They don't want to be an adversary of the United States. They literally just want a future where there's a system of multilateralism, where they can make deals with other countries, and they can have sovereignty, and everyone respects each other's sovereignty, and everyone makes mutually beneficial deals with one another. Like, that's... America considers that adversarial because America wants to be the unipolar, hegemonic, imperialist world power, and China's a threat to that inherently. That's why they're an adversary. If you look at what China's actual goals are or strategy, they don't want any of that. They're almost being forced into that by this kind of heavy-handed approach by America. And yeah, America's in deep decline, so we need an adversary to scapegoat. That's right. It's not enough for the company to base their servers in the U.S. They want full and easy access to all the data and also to directly shape narratives themselves. And I believe TikTok as well has made an offer to the U.S. government to only store data from their users here and give them access to this data for their American users, and they have not taken that deal. Again, it has nothing whatsoever to do with protecting people's information or their data. Nothing at all. Saying they're not our enemy is exactly what our enemy would say. Exactly.
For Americans under 30.
Hang on to that foreign adversary. That's going to be a line of contention. Let's hear from Congressman Thomas Massey, who laid out the case against the bill. Let's take a listen.
They've described the TikTok application as a Trojan horse, but there's some of us who feel that either intentionally or unintentionally, this legislation to ban TikTok is actually a Trojan horse. Some of us are concerned that there are First Amendment implications here. Americans have the right to view information. We don't need to be protected by the government from information. Some of us just don't want the president picking which apps we can put on our phones or which websites that we can visit. We don't think that's appropriate. We also think it's dangerous to give the president that kind of power, to give him the power to decide what Americans can see on their phones and their computers. To give him that sort of discretion,
it's a way to force him to sell for cheap, and they're not going to. Like they've repeatedly
said. Now, people
say
that this TikTok ban will only apply to TikTok or maybe another company that pops up just like TikTok, but the bill is written so broadly that the president could abuse that discretion
just
and
like
include
the Patriot
other
Act was
companies
just going
that
after
aren't
the baddies,
just social media
just
companies.
going after the terrorists.
Okay, so that's where it is, Ryan. I've
It's
talked
only
a lot
why are
here,
you
so give us
complaining?
your
It's only to
reaction.
target terrorists. What are you talking about?
I've got a couple different reactions. One, I think you can't even respond to, which is that, okay, I can understand why no country would want a different country controlling its news environment.
And first of all, America does that all around the world.
You wouldn't want
right? Controlling
Russia
the media
owning NBC News.
Countries all around
Take
the world.
Russia out of it. Let's just say any country.
China,
Japan,
any country, fine.
Even a neutral, Brazil. All right,
So,
I love Brazil.
Like from the perspective of U.S. national security interests, I can see the argument. I don't care. Like I'm not a part of U.S. national security interests, and I think most people who use TikTok also don't care. And I think particularly with what the U.S. has done with its hegemony around the world since World War II, it has not earned the kind of moral credit among a lot of Americans to say, you know what? So you say you need these extraordinary powers. to crack down on my social media apps so that you can continue to do what you've been doing for the last 50 to 70 years around the world? Nah, no thanks. Let Chairman Xi have a shot.
So here's what I would say in response, Ryan, is that take national security out of it. I believe very strongly in U.S. markets and in our principle of sovereignty and reciprocal trade. So, for example, President Biden yesterday came out against the acquisition of U.S. steel by Nippon Steel. Well, Japan is one of our great allies. I mean, unlike the Europeans, they actually produce things and, are important to the global economy. And they, also are willing to defend themselves if we ever give them the ability. So there's a lot going on for Japan. I love Japan. I don't foresee any problem in the future from a national security perspective. That said, we can't allow a Japanese company to own U.S. Steel. U.S. Steel we recognize 100% as critical infrastructure. And I wonder where you draw the line. So, for example, Huawei, which was banned by the Trump administration from critical access to telecom. So in that scenario, makes sense to me. We have critical infrastructure, the wirings literally of U.S. communications. Well, there doesn't seem to be all that much of a substantive difference between the two. And really, when it comes down to, again, even taking national security out of it, baseline fairness level, American companies can't do business in China. Even if you want to do business in China, you have to have a Chinese subsidiary that owns 51%. Our tech companies are completely banned over there. You may not like the tech companies. I don't. But they're at least under our jurisdiction. They're U.S. citizens. They're subject to U.S. law. TikTok and ByteDance are not subject to any of that. I will give the counter case, and I would like for you to expound on some of this. Michael Tracy, I think, has done the best job of overlaying some of the biggest concerns within the bill. Let's go ahead and put this up there. On the screen, he says, here are some of the extensive points that I have raised about this bill itself. The bill goes well beyond banning TikTok targeting any, quote, website, desktop application, mobile application, or augmented or immersive technology application claimed to be a, quote, foreign adversary controlled that includes China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. He says, I agree with Congressman Warren Davidson, who pointed out in his floor speech that the wide-ranging definition of application could be future attempts.
The American nanny state won't let me buy a Huawei. And the same thing, who's the leading EV maker in the world right now? China. China's gone from not making EVs at all to being the leading EV producer in the entire world. I would love to get a cheap Chinese electric vehicle. I got to get a new car. I would love to get one of these cheap BYDs, and it's literally not possible. I would be very happy to be able to get my hands on one of those extremely cheap new Chinese EVs.
Prohibit other widely used apps like Telegram. The bill authorizes the future expulsion.
And it's funny that they're showing Michael Tracy, but you know what? Sometimes Michael Tracy gets it right. Sometimes, again, Michael Tracy, someone who I find to be a tremendous dipshit a lot of the time. Sometimes I agree a lot with what he's saying, and this is he's absolutely correct about this.
To be taken unilaterally by the president, provided that he determines that an application presenting a significant threat to national security of the U.S. He talks specifically about the president possibly making unilateral determination. I quibble, actually, with Michael's definition here. And he says, I don't support handing radical new speech abridging powers.
Mercurial Shrimp, they're selling those BYDs for $10K. $10K for a new EV. I would be very, very happy to get one of those bad boys.
Biden or to Donald Trump. Go ahead, Ryan.
So the broader point that Michael is making is one that you need to take into serious consideration, which is be careful what power you give to the United States government.
As you should. I agree.
Whenever Congress,
do you agree?
Says look, I promise this is all we care about. Mm-hmm. Just this one little thing, because what you're saying is reasonable. Like every country should be able to have sovereignty over its critical infrastructure. If you don't really have democracy, because
you don't have a country.
You don't. You wouldn't have a country.
America sold that out.
As a democratic
That's what neoliberalism was.
You elect representatives who then are going
That's
to
what globalization was.
The expression of the will of that public. But if they can't actually do that, if they don't have the levers because some other country has the levers,
I saw a top comment on Instagram about the 10K truck, and it said, "We can't have those in America because we're communist." Yes. Yes.
Then you don't have a.
Pretty much says it all right
anymore.
there.
So fine, I get now. Setting aside whether I support the U.S. being a country.
Yeah, and Dave Legend, this is kind of one of the things I'm talking about. This idea of who counts as being extremist, and giving these social media companies power, or governments power to determine what being an extremist is. UK new definition of extremism includes this line that seeks to undermine, overturn, or replace the UK's system of liberal parliamentary democracy and democratic rights. And honestly, Dave, like one of the main things I'm interested in politically is, in Canada, trying to undermine, overturn, and replace Canada's system of liberal parliamentary democracy. That's one of the central political beliefs that I hold. So, yeah. If we start going down this path, we can all kind of guess at where it's going to end up.
And given everything is done around the world.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. That makes sense from a kind of basic level. But as Michael is saying, what else does this allow the government to do? And do we trust the government to stay within the lines? So, for instance, is Telegram next? Telegram, founded by a Russian who now has, I think, he fled Russia in 2014. Yes, I think he now has dual French and Emirati citizenship. So Emiratis are currently our friends, so are the French, right?
That's right. Neither would qualify under the bill.
But he's Russian. He's got a Russian name.
Well, he is about to IPO his company, and so that means it would be publicly traded, which means it actually wouldn't even be subject to this. But and that's kind of what it gets.
So,
anyway,
so if TikTok goes public, then it's cool.
Okay, that's up to ByteDance.
Right.
ByteDance. Hey, if you are welcome to actually publicly trade here on the New York Stock Exchange and bring your company into full compliance with U.S. law. Guess what? They will never do that because they are controlled, again, and owned by the Chinese. And I don't even care about that. You run your country the way you want. I'm not saying we should democratize China or whatever. I don't care what the Chinese want to do.
I think we should democratize America and Canada.
My point is only that if you look at this from basic level, and even with the bill, I completely understand. Look, I came out, for example, Restrict Act. Do you remember that one? The Restrict Act? This was the previous iteration. This is the previous iteration of the TikTok ban. It would have given broad authority to the U.S. government to basically designate the president solely to unilaterally declare any application as a threat to U.S. national security. Absolutely no way. However, I have read this bill. It's only 12 pages long. And actually, I'm going to ask my team, we're going to put a link to the bill in the description. I want everybody to go and read it for themselves.
And 12 pages is tiny because they only use a third of the page.
It's really not big. Like it's not long.
It's like triple space.
Only maybe 1,000 words or something. My monologues are longer than the stand bill. It's not hard to understand. Friend of mine, Brendan Carr, he's an FCC commissioner. He put together kind of a rebuttal to some of these arguments. Let's put this up there. And I'm going to read from some of them. He says, quote, if you are an individual user, this bill confers zero authority. I think that's very important because you're not going after TikTok users specifically. Second, this bill applies only to applications controlled by one of 4 foreign adversary governments previously codified into law by Congress: China, Iran, North Korea, or Russia. The bill is clear that it is not enough to simply waive operations there or to do business there. It must be controlled by one of those 4 governments. I want to really spend a lot of time on this because this is where I think Michael gets it completely wrong. One of 4 foreign adversary governments, as again codified into law by Congress. The bill does not say. So, for example, if President Biden wanted, let's make up a country, Zimbabwe. If President Biden wanted to just say Zimbabwe is now a threat to national security, it would require Congress to actually codify into law that Zimbabwe is now a foreign adversary control government.
It's not like Congress would ever come together on a bipartisan basis to determine these kind of foreign adversaries.
Do I trust the president?
The wind blows in that direction.
Absolutely not. My point, though, is that it is not unilateral in the way that the Restrict Act was, and it would require, at least theoretically, democratic agreement to confer foreign adversary status. This is where I've seen a lot of people
bend over backwards
who are like, well, Rumble and Twitter are next. It's like, hey, guys.
No, they're not.
First of all, Rumble is a publicly traded company. You can go and look who owns their shares or not. I actually looked it up right before we went. Guess what? It's not 20% controlled, which is the threshold for foreign ownership. That's number one. Number two, Saudi Arabia, for example, owns, I forget, some small stake in Elon's Twitter. Well, first, Saudi Arabia's not on that list. Second, even if they were, it's not up to 20%. And my other take here would be, well, any company that I think is even remotely important, I don't really think a 20% ownership should be had by a foreign government, period. I'm kind of a radical on that, but you can argue with me if you would like. I'm just coming back to the fact that, look, I understand the concerns about overreach, and I understand people are like, oh, Patriot Act 2.0. The Patriot Act was, what, 350 pages? This is not the Patriot Act. It's not even remotely the same. There are a lot of things in here which have a lot more onerous control. He also, Brendan points out, it is only after a public process and Congress has been reported to and then codify this new thing could even this specific national security threat then come in. And then finally, every single one of these hoops must be cleared and met. More so, what everybody's ignoring, and if you will see too, if you were happy to read in the bill, is that any company that is subject to any of this legislation enforcement then has a 180-day period to actually challenge this and have their day in court. ByteDance, TikTok, and others fully would be able to bring a challenge in the U.S. District Court of Appeals in the District of Columbia, and then, if they want to, they can kick it up to the Supreme Court and they can rule on the constitutionality of this legislation. But having read it and all of that, I don't think it violates the Constitution from a basic trade reciprocal perspective. And, given the fact that you have access to the U.S. court system, you have a pretty onerous process. I mean, when's the last time Congress agreed on anything other than Ukraine on what is a foreign adversary or whatever? Look, I would just ask you to at least admit this. It's not the Patriot Act 2.0.
No, it's definitely not.
You can oppose this and say, and at least admit it is not the Patriot Act.
No, it's definitely not the Patriot Act 2.0. And I think one thing that annoys me about how this has unfolded, and this doesn't really undermine your point, but I think it's important context, is that the U.S. allowed this to happen by empowering our kind of tech oligarchs.
Yes.
And then the Obama administration, then Trump, allowing all sorts of mergers, and then allowing this like catch and kill, where anytime there was a decent app that was about to take off, Facebook or Google or somebody else would like buy it up and then just kill it, so that our like crappy little apps and social media companies continued to be the only ones, thinking that the world had no alternative, no way to challenge them because they would just come in and beat them. But then TikTok comes along and does something that people like more, and it caught our protected industry, protected by our kind of monopoly failure to enforce antitrust policy, caught them sleeping. And at the same time, we were working hand in glove with these tech companies, spying on Americans, spying on everybody around the world, and allowing them to just hoover up everybody's data so that we could have a little backdoor to it. And so it's a failure to take any responsibility for doing your own industrial policy, for guiding your own kind of social media policy, for protecting the civil liberties of your own population. And so when they then come crying about TikTok, it just lands on deaf ears.
I get that. And you know what my response would be? You know what? Luckily for you and me, we live in a democratic country and we can vote.
Lena Khan is coming for him.
We, our government, we elected Joe Biden. He appointed Lena Khan. She is currently sticking it to big business and to these tech companies. I would also say Joe Biden has actually had a significant number of executive orders that have impact on data transfer to China, all of that. So look, I mean, for me, a lot of this comes back to, it's just like, then you don't believe in the government at all. And if you don't believe it, it's like, but then just be a libertarian. Like, I don't know what to say, then be Ben Shapiro and come out against income tax. Like, like, I believe in the government. I believe in the American, and I believe in the concept of government, not the current government. I believe in the American people. I believe that representative democracy on a long enough timeline eventually does deliver roughly what some people want. It's not always easy, and it's not nearly as what.
Oh, that's good. Oh, classic. No, it's doing great. Our representative democracy in the West here, just really delivering the goods for everybody. Just delivering the goods time after time. What we're always saying, like, wow, the government's just really killing it lately. No matter who's in charge, they're really doing a lot of good stuff. Thank you. This is the whole thing. Like, you can downplay this whole thing. Oh, it's only about foreign adversaries. It's only about these adversaries controlling. Like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. People like TikTok the way it is. There are 130 million Americans use TikTok. It's owned by ByteDance. Like, we looked at this. There's this infographic with the squirrel shared, busting some of these myths about how influenced they are by the Chinese government. Like, even if they are, though, who fucking cares? People like the app. That's why they're using it. If you don't want people to use TikTok, build a better social media application. Meta has been trying to do that. They've been trying desperately to copy TikTok and take away their market share, and they're not doing it because it's just not as good. So all of that shit is irrelevant. I think on a long enough timeline, representative democracy, blah, 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 blah. How can you fucking... Jesus Christ. Look at the decline we've been on for the last 30 years. How little democratic input that we have into anything whatsoever that our government does. What an embarrassing statement that is.
Actionable as it should be, and I would like to return to that. That said, it's not China. And when I look at this, it is very obvious that a forced sale, again, not a ban, a forced sale, is the most elegant option. You force them to sell it. They get to, all these TikTokers and all these content creators. I don't want them to lose it. Listen, I don't like TikTok. I don't use TikTok, but it's a free country. You can use it. You want to rot your brain 75 minutes a day on social media, be it Twitter, TikTok, or everybody else. That's your business. You can do what you want.
Now, they're saying they're not going to sell it. Yeah. Do you believe them?
I don't believe them. Well, okay. We'll put it two ways.
To explain to people that the bill forces a sale within 180
by
days.
ByteDance.
By ByteDance to an American, or I guess they could go public too. And if they don't do that, then it is banned. And so
they're not going to do it.
The head of TikTok is saying, we're not going to sell it. It will be banned.
Well, I think that's a negotiating position because what they want to do is they want to get all these TikTokers to come out and lobby against Congress, which, by the way, is actually massively backfired, hilariously enough. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really up to ByteDance. Are you going to say no to... I mean, the sale price of TikTok is probably going to be nearly $1 trillion. It's going to be $800-900 billion. There's already multiple U.S. investors that have lined up. And let me head that off too, because Crystal brought this up. She's like, "Well, Sam Altman and OpenAI have said they're going to buy it." I'm like, "Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that." And luckily for me, I live in the United States of America, where our court system can block that if we want to. Yeah, exactly. Regulators have a say over who gets to buy it or not. Unfortunately, the real thing that could happen is this could become a geopolitical football. And don't forget, because ByteDance doesn't get to run its own business, the CEO, Zhang Zhiming, even if he does want to sell it to, whoever, somebody here in America, some investor conglomerate or something like that, he would still have to get sign-off from Chinese regulators. So I don't think it's actually a matter of whether Zhang Zhiming or ByteDance wants to sell it. This is all in
people like
Xi Jinping's
Sagar
court,
or whatever.
Whether it's really...
People like Sagar have, at every turn, tried to limit the ability of the American government to disrupt any kind of corporate entity. That's been a central plank of the conservative movement. They're bragging about the ability of the United States government and court system to engage in this kind of lawfare against big corporations that are doing things that they don't like. This is literally the whole conservative movement is based on putting judges in place that will not do that. So that's a really funny thing to fixate on here as well. Yes, regulators in China lack teeth to enforce laws relative to U.S. counterparts like the EPA. Yeah, exactly. They're doing a bang-up job regulating all these big corporations.
Up to him. I mean, just yesterday, the Chinese Ministry of Affairs came out and said, it is unfair and goes against the principles of market fairness. And
by the way, we can look at God, this guy's such a dipshit. We can look at a company like Meta and saying look, it's not controlled by the state. Look at our media companies. It's not controlled by the state, but it is though. It is controlled by the state. That's the other kind of the thing that we lose sight of here. There is all kinds of interconnectivity between the board of Meta and the political establishment. There's a revolving door with the political establishment onto the board of Meta. They've indicated the fact that there's a link between the intelligence community and the security state at Meta. So while it might be a private corporation, or the media might be private and not state controlled, that's all an illusion, because the state, as we know in the West, is not just exclusive to the government. The state is the power structures, right? And we've talked about, when it comes to the media takes huge amounts of money from the defense industry. Where's the defense industry getting their money from? The United States government. So there's this middleman. There's this middleman to have this, arm's length plausible deniability. That's exactly it, right? there's this middleman to make it so like, oh, none of this is state owned. See, TikTok is state owned. They're beholden to the US, to the Chinese government, when all of these American social media companies are beholden to the United States government and the national security establishment, who also do operate all around the world and have had disastrous consequences all around the world as well. Look at what Meta's done. Look at the damage that Meta has done or Facebook has done around the world versus whatever damage you might want to point to that is responsible for TikTok. You know? Right now, for example, TikTok is a central part in like people sharing stories and ideas that are against a genocide in Palestine, whereas Facebook, not state-owned Facebook, has been used around the world to facilitate genocide. So that's always the kind of like rhetorical little trick that is used there to talk about these things as well. TikTok is just state-owned. It's state-owned. It's controlled by the state. Not like these American companies. It's total bullshit. They are controlled by the state. They absolutely are.
This is what drives me nuts. I'm like, okay, name one U.S. tech company that gets to do business in China. One, just one. The only one that comes even remotely close is Tesla, and there's a lot of problems with Elon's relationship right now with that. So, any final thoughts before we move on?
I just also find it wild that the American politicians basically blame TikTok for young people being against genocide in Gaza.
I think you're right, and this is a fair concern.
That seems to be the thing that really pushed them over the top.
I think you were right, and that is a fair concern. And if I were you, I would bring up the exact same thing. What is the impetus, the action of why? I unfortunately do think that Israel and all of that did play a significant thing. And if it was a ban, I think I would speak out against it at this point because I don't think that that's right. But given the fact that
what happens if it does get?
It is a ban. He said over and over. If it was a ban, I'd be saying something about it. Well, it is a ban. Like you've said repeatedly. They're not going to sell. And he's saying, oh, that's just a negotiating tactic. No, they're not going to sell. They're not going to sell. They're not going to be compelled by the U.S. government to sell their company. It's going to be a ban. It's a ban. Like, Jesus. Yeah, I hate this conservative debate club style of speaking. It's very annoying. They should do what American companies do and make their HQ in Ireland for tax evasion purposes. That's right. Exactly. Yeah, that's a great question, Raven. How can he sit there and say that America doesn't control the media and then sit there and say that it's a legit concern that they're doing it because of Palestine? Exactly. It's doublethink. It's like it's holding two totally contradictory ideas in your mind at the same time. And we've talked about this often, right? This illusion of like state control, where Americans tell themselves that our media, or in Canada as well, you know, our media establishment is not state controlled. It absolutely is. Because as we know, the state in the West is not just the government. It's capital. That's what makes up the state. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was very annoying to look at, but still, it spurred some interesting discussion over here, so I think it's good that we took a look at it. I do have to get going fairly soon, folks. I want to stick around for like another half an hour or so before I get going. Like I said, my son has a concert at his school today that I want to go check out. That's why I'm looking like a professional dad today and not a big slob like I sometimes do. We are, though, a mere 5 subs away from the goal. We're a mere 5 subs away from the goal. I've been very fortunate this week. I've managed to hit the sub goal each and every day this week, which I appreciate a lot. So if you can, folks, please subscribe. Please subscribe if you can. I'm 5 subs away from the goal. You should show up to school with the cat ears. Yeah. To show that I'm with it. I'm hip. I'm with it. I think I'm just going to get another glass of water. Make sure I'm hydrated here. Please subscribe if you can, folks. Only 5 subs away from the goal. And it would be absolutely magnificent to get to the old sub goal again today. If you can, please do subscribe. We need 5 brave heroes to step forward and support this program and get to the goal and carry my tired, broken ass across the finish line for another day.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I subbed, but it didn't show up. The others in this 3 months must have been gifts.
Rebel Mitch, thank you for the 3 months of Tier 1. I appreciate it a lot. Very much appreciated. Oh, refreshing. Nice cold glass of water, folks. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. And now we're a mere 4
You can
subs
count
away
on
from
me.
the goal.
You're going to have
Now
good
just
old
3.
Rob to talk you through all this.
Dad's rock.
Gwynny, thank you for the 29 months. Tier 1. Thank you for that. Did VJ tweet about gooning? No, he didn't tweet about gooning. I think he was just reacting to the picture that I shared. Maybe. He said, the things I learned when I joined Rob Rousseau on Twitch. Thanks for an engaging conversation. See you next year for our annual rundown. I just thought he was talking about this picture because I shared this image again to promote the talk. Maybe, though, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe he did. I did say, Lodane, look, see, I'm helping. See? I'm helping. I said, please don't look up what gooning means. I got to say, too, such a nice guy. Like, VJ talks to people, like, all the time. He's having conversations with people all the time. I didn't really think that, like, I wasn't really sure that he, like, actually remembered me. You know, because, you know, we've talked a couple times over the years now, but like he's always talking to people. He's always talking to people and doing stuff. And just the fact that like we talked and like he was referencing stuff from our previous conversations yesterday and like, you know, is nice. What a nice guy. What a nice fella. We're BFFs. That's right. He's my close personal friend. He's my close personal friend. Gooning used to be taking up a side job as a henchman. That's right. Yeah. He's our close personal friend. That's right. As I've mentioned many times, through the transitive properties of the friendship triangle system, he's all of our close personal friends. Valued community member and gooning enthusiast. Exactly. What's funny too is his answer was so thoughtful. I always try to ask him stupid bullshit, and he always answers in the most thoughtful and interesting way. Like, remember his whole thing about Ho Chi Minh last year and his love of American cigarettes and stuff? What a guy. He approved of gooning broadly defined, but did not endorse it as such. Yeah. Only 3 subs away, folks. Are there 3 brave heroes? We got 144 viewers right now. Are there 3 brave heroes among you that want to step forward and support this important content that I'm creating here on Twitch? Let those of us that haven't gooned blow the first load. That classic saying. That classic saying that we all know. We've all heard it a million times before in Sunday school and elsewhere. We just need 3 brave heroes, folks. That he was not edged goon the first.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to
Jesus.
talk you through all this.
Doc Not So Strange, thank you for gifting a sub to Gooners Unite. Welcome to the community. Gooners Unite. And folks, now we're only 2 measly subs away from the goal. We're 2 measly subs away from the goal, folks. Are there 2 brave heroes that want to step forward and get TRRS across the finish line for today? Hey, strong bed, women can goon too, okay? It's not a gender thing. Plenty of women in the proud gooners in the community as well. Every goon is sacred. I hate that this stream just made me Google what gooning was. It's funny. When I talk about Norm Finkelstein, I literally did learn this concept just like, what was it, like a month ago? It was like a month ago I learned about this concept. It's just completely taken over the entire stream now. Von Manstein. Anyway, you need to learn this information. Was it more than a month ago? I've lost track of time. I don't know. Von Manstein, you need to know this information, okay? It's important to understand these kind of concepts. You need to know what the young people are talking about. You need to know what these terms and terms are, you know? Does anyone have the clip of Norm saying it? Let's see if I can find it.
I don't know. There's an expression, I don't know if they coined it or whether it's a commonplace in your generation. The expression is gooning, Gooning.
Grooming or gooning?
Gooning, Gooning. It means basically being transfixed with porn, video porn, for like 24, 48 hours straight. If straight's the right word there. And there's an expression, I don't know if they coined it or whether it's a common.
There he is. Those are rookie numbers in this racket, Norm. 24, 48 hours, that's for amateurs. That's amateur hour. Okay? Folks, isn't this content that you want to support? This is the kind of content that people crave, okay? "48 hours, that's edging to a goon like me, exactly. We've moved beyond this. We've gooned beyond this. We need 2 more subs, folks. We need 2 more subs. 2 brave gooners need to step forward here. We got anyone in chat without a sub? Is there anyone looking for a sub? Is there anyone looking for a sub, or is there anyone looking for a Big Daddy. The king of Cookie Town. I don't know, Strong Bad. This is just how it goes sometimes. Really, I would blame chat. I would blame chat on this. Chat can't get their mind out of the gutter. I think that's the main problem. And they drag me down to their level. I think that's the issue. They drag me down to their level of depravity and perversion. I want to talk about important concepts. I want to talk about important geopolitical and geostrategic concepts on here. I want to talk to important journalists and historians and scholars. I want to talk about ideas. And this is what I'm forced to do to entertain people. This is what I'm forced to do. I'm forced to lower myself like this.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Chris Barnes, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Is that a brand new sub from Chris Barnes? Chris was looking at this stream going, this is the kind of community that I want to be a part of. This is the kind of community that I want to support on here. Yes, I did figure out level 24 shortly after the stream. I think I'm on 40 something now, Jay. Thank you very much for the sub, Chris. I appreciate it.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
And look at that. Doc Not So Strange. Thank you for the gifted sub as well. We fucking did it, chat. We did it. Give yourself a round of applause. Thank you so much for supporting this program. Really, really does mean a lot. Very, very cool. And this is the kind of content and conversation that push people forward. And you know what? Like Strong Bad saying I should have sex workers on to talk about this more. And like I have had sex workers on the show. And in fact, in the chat, sometimes I've seen Xander Corvus in the chat a number of times. I don't know. He hasn't been around in a while, but next time Xander shows up, we got to ask him about gooning. I'm sure he'd have a lot of insight. Who is that? He's a sex worker. He's a star of pornographic films, and he's part of the TRRS community. God bless him. Maybe if he ever stops by, I can get him to call in, and we can have a powwow. A little conversation about gooning. Part of the goon crew, exactly. Marina's in chat all the time as well. I know Marina has strong views on gooning as well. We've got a powerful goon crew in this community. Okay, Jesus Christ. This has really gotten away from me. Yes, I did, Strong Bad, and I felt weird instantly about doing that, so I do apologize, because I immediately was like, that was no good. This is what I mean about chat lowering my standards. You know, I try to talk about good things. I try to be a good person, then chat lowers me down to this disgusting level of depravity. And you should all be ashamed, frankly. You should all be absolutely ashamed with yourselves. I blame everyone else personally. Anyway, folks, I think that's going to do it for me for the day. Like I said, my kid's got a concert at school. I've got to go to that. I don't want to be late for that. So thank you very much, folks. I will let you know one last time. I've been saying for literally years that I would upload my music that I've created for this show. I said it for years and years and years, and I always just never got around to doing it and forgetting. Last night I did finally do that after saying for a really long time that I was going to do it. So if you want to listen to those tracks, you know, there's probably like 5 of you that might want that. So that's where you do it. I just posted the link. Oh yeah, I'm going to raid. We'll raid someone here. I'm still here. What's happening? I'm still here. What's up? What's going on? I'm still here. We had a brief F there, I guess. We're Barack, only to be Jover again. Thank you again, folks. I'll be back tomorrow for a full-length stream tomorrow. Thanks again for supporting the show. Thanks for tuning in today. It was a pleasure, as always, hanging out with you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Might do a little hell diving later. We'll see if anyone's going to be hell diving. I might do a little bit of that. You're behind chat now. How does it even work? Like, logically, does that even make sense? Take care, folks. Give my regards to our friend Larry. Peace out.